Hello everybody and welcome to my review for the film Lady Bird. This movie is of course produced by indie production company A24 and stars Saoirse Ronan and Laurie Metcalf in the leading roles and features two amazing supporting turns by Timothée Chalamet and Hedges. So without further ado guys, let's get right into this movie. It was honestly such a treat to sit in a theater and watch Lady Bird. It was one of those rare films that came out this year that had my full and complete attention towards the screen. My eyes were glued on the screen, and the reason that this movie was so successful in what it was able to do is 100% because of its performances. We'll get a little bit into direction and other things around the film later, but I think that these performances are some of the best, if not the best, performances that I have seen all year, particularly by Saoirse Ronan, the lead actress who plays Lady Bird. This is such authentic, real, vividly real acting that it's one thing really that to get under the skin of a character, but it's one thing to become that character. And for me, Saoirse Ronan as Lady Bird was so believable that there wasn't a second, not even a second, that while I was watching this movie that I felt like I was watching an actress play out a role. It was so believable that I almost forgot that I was watching a movie. One of the most amazing things about Saoirse Ronan's performance in Lady Bird is that she presents so many nuances in her expression while she's acting as this character that it almost feels like Saoirse knows the ins and outs of this character and some parts of the character that aren't even displayed for the audience on screen. It feels like she knows something about the character that we don't, because the performance that we get out of Saoirse Ronan is so authentic, so real, and so truly believable that it is honestly one of the best performances of the year. I think that so far from the films that I've seen, there is no other actress in my mind who deserves the Oscar more than Saoirse Ronan. It is seriously a truly remarkable performance by her. Of course, Saoirse Ronan is not the only good performance in this film. We get a number of excellent supporting turns from a number of new and old actors. One of the greatest ones, I think, in this film is by Laurie Metcalf, who plays the mother of Lady Bird. And that is one of those other performances in this film where it feels like Laurie Metcalf, as an actress, knows something about her character that the audience doesn't. Because the performance she gives is so real and so authentic. And the best part is that she really works with Saoirse Ronan. I mean, the chemistry, the mother-daughter chemistry, that you can see it feels very real. Their relationship feels very authentic. And that was just amazing to see these two actresses work off of each other and make a truly magical relationship come to life. I mean, this is the type of movie performance that I wait all year for, and I finally got it through this film. There are several other great actors and actresses in this film, and I'd like to name some of them because they were so good. Timothée Chalamet, Hedges, Odeya Rush, and Beanie Feldstein all gave excellent performances in this film. I'd especially like to take out a time to talk a little bit about Timothée Chalamet, because this guy is also in Call Me By Your Name, which is another Oscar film, and I've only heard good things about him from that film as well. But I mean, the guy is so great in this movie as well. He brings something truly dynamic to this film. He brings a character that I think a lot of people are going to relate with or have seen somewhere in their life. I think, and he plays that character so believably. Again, the one word that keeps coming to my mind when I talk about this film is that the performances all around are so believable. And I think Saoirse Ronan, Laurie Metcalf, and Timothée Chalamet bring the most authentic acting to the table in this film. So all across the board, the performances in this film are truly amazing, very authentic, very real. And the best part is that all these actors and all these actresses are really working off of each other to create relationships that feel authentic. Because it's one thing to have your character feel authentic, but to also work with other actors and their respective characters and bring something to the cinema screen that feels real is truly remarkable. And I think Lady Bird has more than excelled in that regard. And for that reason alone, I think it's an excellent film. Cinematography in this film is truly immaculate, and it's done by Sam Levy. And I think it brings something really interesting to this film. If you watch a lot of recent movies, you know that a lot of cinematography in recent movies tends to be very uniform, and depending on the content and themes of a certain film, a uniform cinematography is sometimes the best way to go. But for a film like Lady Bird, you really needed something a little bit more diverse. And I think Sam Levy does an absolutely phenomenal job of bringing a very distinct visual style to each scene and or moment in this movie. And that's what made each scene for me as a viewer so special and kept my eyes locked on the screen so much more, is because Sam Levy did so many different things, whether it be with framing, whether it be with blocking, whether it be with lighting. There was always something unique with each scene visually. So I really love what the cinematography did for this film. With this film, we also get what I would consider to be one of the best movie scores of 2017. The score for this film is done by John Brion, and it's just a phenomenal score, and it fits the movie's themes and characters so well and adds a sense of magic to what you're watching on screen that I couldn't help but be swept away by this truly magnificent score. This is truly some of the best music I've heard in the theater to date in this year. So definitely look out for the score for this film. Now, of course, we come to the woman of the hour for this film, writer-director Greta Gerwig. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I love about the writing in this film, because in a lot of traditional coming-of-age stories, we get a very formulaic, now kind of orthodox storytelling method. And I think that what Greta Gerwig does with Lady Bird is something very new, something very fresh and unorthodox, and honestly, unlike anything that we've really seen on the cinema screen before. And what she does is that she's very, very eclectic about her choices in picking moments from Lady Bird's life. She doesn't limit herself to picking a certain category of moments. She not only takes very significant moments from her life, she also takes some very small, everyday, daily moments from her life. And so what we get, because she uses such a wide array of moments to craft this film, is that we get a better sense of Lady Bird not only as a person, but as well as her relationships with a bunch of the other people in this movie, especially with her mother, which is the central relationship in this film. So I think what Greta Gerwig did with the writing is make, honestly, a very diverse palette of moments. And that is something that is far, far away from the traditional sense of coming-of-age storytelling, where we get a far more, orthodox, play-by-play, what happens kind of storytelling method. In this, we get far more, as I said, diverse array of moments, which helps create, honestly, a better picture of characters and their relationships. So I love what Greta Gerwig did with the writing in this film. In fact, one of the best parts of Lady Bird is that each moment feels so real and feels so authentic that at some point as an audience member, you forget that you're watching a movie because you're so drawn into these situations and struggles of these characters that you almost begin to feel like you're a part of those situations and struggles. And I think that Greta Gerwig does a great job of really pulling you not only into the drama of the situation, but also the comedy of the situation, because there are a lot of funny sequences in this movie where I was personally laughing out loud in the theater. And I think Greta Gerwig does a really good job of, again, not only, finding the drama of the situation and bringing you in and making you feel like you're a part of these character struggles, but also finding the kind of lighthearted aspect of a lot of difficult situations. And I love that kind of fusion between, drama and comedy in this film, and I think it really worked. And for me, ultimately, one of the most memorable things about Lady Bird will always be its authenticity. Because even when it's dealing with difficult situations and difficult themes, and the content becomes more serious, the film never becomes subject to melodrama or forced humor. Instead, it takes on those situations with an earnestness and honesty that feels really genuine and really real. And I think Greta Gerwig, as I've said many times before in this review, has really mastered how to take difficult situations and tell them as they are without making the movie or story feel like it has to be softened up for viewers or packaged in a specific way or certain way. She tells it as it is, and I think Lady Bird is one of those few films that really knows how to tell things as they are. Ultimately, I think that Lady Bird is a movie about perspectives, and sometimes the characters' perspectives match and sometimes they don't match. And it's also about a wide array of perspectives on a wide array of topics. So sometimes, characters will be discussing their perspectives on small things such as financial decisions, all the way to bigger things such as identity and where we come from. So definitely that also gives more credit, I think, to Greta Gerwig's writing is that she was able to incorporate so many different perspectives from these characters, and each character has their own unique voice. And you also get a sense of, you know, how these perspectives clash and sometimes how these perspectives match. And I think there's no better testament to this in the film than the relationship between Lady Bird and her mother. Because if you've seen any of the trailers for this film, you know that both Lady Bird and her mother, as her dad says, both have very strong personalities, and therefore they both have also very strong perspectives on many different topics. So watching that dynamic is very engrossing and interesting, and ultimately makes for some really good writing in terms of the film. So that is another one of my favorite parts about Lady Bird, is seeing, you know, different characters put out their different perspectives on a huge array of topics. That makes the film not only more believable, but also way more engrossing and interesting. This is a really good film, guys, and I think that it's the type of filmmaking that we get to see less and less, because it's really a genre that we've seen before, but is done in a very new and fresh way, and deals with a bunch of different themes, and gives its characters and its actors a chance to find their own voice and to express that voice in a very unique and distinct way. So for me, Lady Bird gets an A+. There are some moments of this film that might seem forgettable in the long run, and some characters that perhaps were a little bit more shallow in comparison to some of the more major characters. But for me, each character and each actor who played that character brought something unique to this film. And that's one thing I can also say about the film itself, is that this is a singular, very unique, very distinct take on a coming-of-age story. I mean, it's very different from the rest of coming-of-age stories that you typically see. Greta Gerwig has done a truly phenomenal job with this film. I think Lady Bird definitely deserves the amount of hype that it's getting, and I implore all of you to go and check out this film and enjoy this movie and kind of just soak it in, because it's not a very traditional film. It's gonna perhaps put some audiences, I'll be off-putting for some audiences, because it's not a necessarily very plot-focused film. It's more about, you know, a character study and learning about these characters and kind of diving into the relationships between each one of them and how they deal with, you know, their daily life, their daily struggles. And ultimately, I think that creates a very, very beautiful experience as a film goer, because you feel like coming out of this movie that you understand these characters and their relationships, as well as kind of the issues that they go through. And I think that's something very unique and really interesting and very engaging. And in a very short runtime of 1 hour and 33 minutes, for a film to be able to pack all that in is truly remarkable, guys. I loved Lady Bird. Be sure to check it out, and be sure also to like, comment, subscribe, and keep watching my videos for more reviews and more movie-related content. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.